Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. The bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. The idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody.
Amen.
Yeah.
That was President Biden.
What a weekend.
What a weekend it was. I'm Jody Hamilton, sitting in for Ms. Miller, who will be here tomorrow. She is resting from her show in Boston and her trip to D.C. to inter her mother with her father. So Chris and I are here. We have Rude Pundit today. We might have John Fugelsang.
Yep. To give us a report on what happened in Boston on Saturday night.
Right. And then we have Cliff Schechter at the top of the third hour for the hour today. So, yeah, my show was thrown out Saturday afternoon.
Sure. Yeah, we had breaking news over the weekend.
We did. As I'm sure you guys all know, there was an attempted assassination of Donald Trump at his rally in Pennsylvania. An innocent bystander who is a Trump supporter was killed.
Former fire chief.
Former fire chief. He threw himself over his daughters to save them from the shooter. So condolences, obviously, to his family and friends, because that was heartbreaking to hear that. It's a big day.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about all of this. I think that as far as that happening, that was awful, and I'm glad Donald is fine. I hope the two people that were also shot that are still in the hospital recover fully.
Yep.
Because what Donald did say something about it, and he said, God stopped the worst thing from happening. I don't like that phrasing. I don't like other people using that phrasing because somebody died.
Somebody died, yes.
So that is not the appropriate phrasing of what happened. Donald was lucky.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
But
one of his supporters died.
One of his supporters died. So when you say God stopped the worst from happening, I don't think so. Talk to Corey's family.
Yeah.
The worst happened to him.
Yep.
So, and listening to the one doctor that went to him to try to was horrific. It's there is, like the president said, there is no room for violence at all.
Nope.
And everybody on the Democratic side so far, as far as our leadership is concerned, have said the exact right thing, like the president said. And we'll play more of the president's Oval Office speech in a little bit. But
even Fox News said that the president was masterful last night.
He was. It was a good speech.
Yep.
And his immediate speech as it happened was good. And then the speech yesterday afternoon before the Oval Office speech was also good. He is showing everybody that he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Nancy Pelosi, who has personal knowledge in violence against family members and almost against her, she released a statement on Twitter, which I do dead name it. As one whose family has been the victim of political violence, I know firsthand that political violence of any kind has no place in our society. I thank God that former president is safe. As we learn more details about this incident, let us pray that all those in attendance at the former president's rally are unharmed. Unfortunately, this obviously came out before we knew that there were one person that had died and two people that were critically injured. Arnie Duncan said, maybe, just maybe, Trump might realize the horrific act of violence that almost cost your husband his life isn't so funny after all. Referring to when Donald got the news about Paul Pelosi being attacked. I'm going to repeat what he said because it's important for us to remember what he said in response to a violent act against the former Speaker of the House's husband. What Donald said was, and this was at a rally, "We'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing? Anybody know?" And everybody started laughing. "She's against building a wall at our border even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job." Point, counterpoint, as far as how you deal with something along these lines. Thank God Mr. Pelosi was not killed.
Right.
He was gravely injured, though. And even Donald's son posted a photograph of underwear with a hammer saying he was ready at the time.
Yeah.
So the vast difference between how Democrats are dealing with Donald Trump being shot at and thankfully not being killed shows you the vast difference between these two. Don Jr. even said he doesn't want to hear another word about January 6th after his dad's shooting.
That makes no sense
That
at all.
makes no sense at all. He said his dad's opponent believed everyone on the right is Hitler, everyone in the right is evil and commits violence, but it seems to all be coming from them. No. Whether it's the riots or this, I don't want to ever hear another word about January 6th after July 13th, not one more. It needs to stop. We've got to get our country back on track. We've got to create some unity. He's right there. We have to start putting America first. And my father is the only person actually capable of doing that because he's already done it. Since when did he bring the country together? He's never.
His father allowed violence to run rampant in schools.
And at his own rallies, punch that guy. I mean, he is the purveyor of that kind of rhetoric. Now, people are bringing up the fact that I guess President Biden, on a private phone call, claimed, I haven't heard it, there's reporting that he said we need to put a bullseye on Donald or something like that. First off, it was a private phone call, not a rally. So anybody letting that out, all those people on that phone call, not going to do that. They're not those types of people. And others immediately started blaming Joe Biden for this.
Right. Like J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, Lauren Boebert. Yep. There's a long list of people that are putting the blame on Joe Biden, which is like, one wants him arrested.
Well, the guy was, he was a kid, basically.
Right.
He was 20 years old.
He was 20.
He was a registered Republican.
Yeah.
And apparently there was another person with his same name who donated to Act Blue.
We're not sure if that's the...
Well, from what I understand, it was another person who was...
Has the same name.
Yeah, who was much older.
69 years old.
Right, because if it was, the shooter would have donated to Act Blue.
At 17 years old.
Right, before he could vote. So that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, but then again, there are people, Allison Gill says, hold off until we know better. Just because someone has the same name as somebody and is older and donated to Act Blue does not mean this guy did not also do that. Right. So until we know for sure if that reporting is accurate.
Right, but for someone like J.D. Vance to say that this guy who was a registered Republican was influenced by Joe Biden, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
That makes no
it's
sense.
Irresponsible in the most.
Yes. Mike Collins. He needs to resign immediately. He tweeted out, Joe Biden sent the orders. And he also followed up calling for local prosecutors to immediately file charges against Joe Biden for inciting an assassination. He did not do that.
Nope.
He would never do that.
Nope.
That is not the person that he is. Nope. Lest we forget that Donald Trump didn't have a problem with gallows being erected for Mike Pence, his VP at the time. And there's a lot of reporting that, the Republicans are now going to use this to say you cannot criticize Donald Trump. Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Just because an adjudicated rapist and a 34 felon convicted criminal got shot at, which is bad, should not have happened, doesn't mean he still is not an adjudicated rapist and a felon. Right. Those two things can exist at the same time. And he's up for more charges, which some people want them to be dropped. No. You don't drop charges against people just because something bad happened to them. Right. You don't. It's no.
One does not negate the other.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Kyle Clark interviewed Boebert. He was the guy that was the debate moderator at her debate before the primary. He's a good guy. We like him from Denver, city by the bay. He asked her, do you believe that President Biden bears any responsibility for what happened today? And she says, I do believe that Joe Biden is responsible for the shooting today. Everyone who has called him a fascist, who's called him a threat to democracy, not untrue, who said that he should be put in a bullseye, which is according to reporting. They need to have some very deep reflection tonight before another tragedy like this takes place. As she cares for the children that have been killed by gunfire. And then he asked her, have you given any thought to that about things that you say and how it might contribute to the heated political environment? She says, nothing I have ever said has incited violence that you know of at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally takes pictures with guns with her children. That's violent imagery. And they all wore those stupid AR-15 pins. Remember that? That's the same type of gun. Not the same. I don't think it was a long gun. It was a semi-automatic weapon, it sounded like, that the shooter had. So, and they all support this. So it's going to be interesting to see if they start to maybe think about, I don't know, semi-automatic machine gun type guns being outlawed again like it used to be.
Republicans won't. No.
And that's ridiculous to me.
Because they're beholden to the NRA.
Yeah, the NRA's been mum on this.
They're addicted to the NRA money.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, they're not going to stop it.
Yeah, the Republicans are going to try to say, and I've already said this, I apologize for being repetitive, but the Republicans are going to try to intimidate Joe Biden and company from saying that Donald Trump supports violent rhetoric, because he has. Now, according to reporting right now, Donald himself is rewriting his speech. We know that's not happening. Somebody is rewriting his speech for the convention this week. Good. And they're the convention and his campaign are trying to tell people to tone it down, other speeches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're trying to. They've told the other speakers to not change their to not change their speech, to mention the shooting.
Yeah, to not mention it.
Right.
Is what he doesn't want to mention it. Why not? I don't understand that.
Because I mean,
it'd be too much.
As a convention, they probably, as a party, they want to focus on the positive, and I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
They're trying to get their positive message out instead of, rehashing what happened.
But Donald's speech apparently had a lot of toughness to it before.
Yeah, and apparently he's toning it down. And Tucker Carlson has said this morning that he has spoken to Donald Trump and said that his attitude has kind of changed. Tucker said getting shot in the face kind of changes a man.
It can.
I believe that.
I hope so.
So, it's coming from Tucker Carlson, but,
because he's a known non-truth teller.
Yeah, we'll see if it pans out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll also be interesting, the other speeches, how their rhetoric is not going to change, or is, if they're going to tweak any of their rhetoric in their speeches, because they're going to, we'll see. We'll see what happens with because it starts tonight.
Right. I may not agree with anything that the Republican Party does, but I wouldn't mind them toning down their rhetoric.
Same here.
And, if they do that during the convention, I welcome it.
I agree. We don't need this. This is wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the first attempt for a former president since Reagan, correct? Somebody
yes.
at that level?
Yeah.
So, and there is, and I agree with this, the speculation on why the Secret Service was not on that particular rooftop when it was only 150 yards away.
Someone messed up.
Someone messed up big.
Yeah.
Because that I saw the aerial photographs. Mm-hmm. All of those buildings should have had snipers on them. Yeah. Every single one of them. And in the trees around them. Yeah. There's no reason for that not to have been there. So that's a valid point on both, because Dems and Republicans are like, yeah, we need to figure this out.
Yeah.
Welcome to OK Now You Know. I'm Joe Garner. Today, we're traveling back in time to a hot summer in 1776. A time of revolutionary change culminated in the creation of one of the most important documents in American history, the Declaration of Independence. How did it come to be? And what does it really represent? Let's dive in to the birth of a nation.